Welcome back to LVCC. Today we have something a little bit different for you. As you can see, we're in a different garage, and that's because we're bringing on a new card. Welcome, Frank and Ford. We also have a new member of LVCC, and his name is Mike, and we're going to go over the truck and we're going to tell you guys all about it and what we're going to do with it and what's to come. So let's get to it.
So what's up, everybody? As Nick introduced me, I'm Mike Fiala, and this here is my 1952 F14 pickup truck that I bought when I was 13 years old. It's been an 8-year project, so I'm currently 21, and Nick has brought me onto the channel so gratefully to join him and his buddies on their adventure with their cars. We met on we actually met on Snapchat through a group chat and accidentally just started talking about cars, and one thing led to another. We couldn't stop talking about cars, and now here we are working on them together. This is the 1952 F14 pickup, only made for 2 years, 51 and 52. This one came originally with a flathead V8, and this I've got a Ford 302 bored 30 over with a Cleveland 351 crank, which turns into a 427 stroker. I've got it backed by a world-class T5 5-speed manual transmission out of a Shelby GT500 Mustang. Fully redone interior, carpet, 6-point cage harnesses and seats. Moving our way out to the back, we've got our exterior roll bars come out of the back of the cab, going into the bed. I currently do not have the bed laid in, but I do have my grid, laid out, as well as all my pilot holes and my wood pattern laid out. We are currently working on getting a pinion seal out, which is horrifying to say the least, but we're getting there. Did a gas tank delete from the cab. Originally had I believe it was a 10 to 12 gallon tank. We did a 17 gallon aluminum tank delete to the bottom of the bed. And right now we were just finishing on replacing axle seals, axle bearings, and the pinion seal. But as I previously stated, the pinion seal is causing to be a longer process than we thought it would be to remove it. So here we are in the cab of the truck. As you can see, it's not the same as the outside of the truck. The outside is all clear-coated bare steel, and on the inside we've got a new furnished, got new carpet and new paint, new headliner, and a roll cage. Blood copper red for the interior paint. I went with black carpet on the bottom. Custom fabbed our own shift knob, just bent some steel and turned my own knob on a lathe. Got brand new Pro Car bucket seats in the cab, which accept the 5-point harnesses because 5-point is superior to the 4-point. All new gauges, new trim knobs. And moving on to the dash, we've got all new appliances. Underneath, we've got a 22 fuse block hidden under the carpet. Powering all of our gauges, we've got a Hideaway double stack radio in the glove box, which originally used to hide right here, where we did a radio delete plate, which now controls our secondary 2-inch fan or 2 7-inch fans on the radiator, my subwoofers, which are inside the cab here, and LEDs, which run under the front hood and the front grille. I've got a full heating system, but no AC in here. The AC is 2 windows down at whatever speed you choose. I've got full windshield wipers that do work. We have got them positioned as such only because at natural resting position, they naturally rest 90 degrees up, and so we want them resting down. We've got your typical choke. We've got a kill switch, not your typical car ignition. Both of our running and driving headlights, as well as our gauge lights and gauge dimmer, sit here. On the floor on the driver's side, which you can't see from your angle, I have got a big gold kill switch over here on my floor. And then if you look right here on the left side of the steering column, this is actually where your ignition is instead of a turnkey. On the bottom side of things, we've got one 6-inch kicker in each kick panel of the truck. We've got one 12-inch MTX Terminator subwoofer in each box seat, under each seat, with LEDs, of course, because, you know, everybody needs LEDs. And then behind each seat, we've got a shallow mount box with a 3-inch shallow mount, 8-inch wide subwoofer, and 2 tweeters. All right, so here we have our roll cage coming out of the back of the cab, going down into the frame, down to the bottom of our bed. And originally, I was gonna have roll bars come all the way out to the very, very end for aesthetic looks, because I like the much longer look, but I realized that if somebody was to rear end me at the right speed and at the right angle and everything, this giant bar right here becomes a nice spear into the back of your head if you're not careful. And so I decided to go with I believe this is between a 35 to a 45, I don't think it's a perfect 45-degree bend, down into the frame. That way I have over a foot worth of original 50 steel. I've got at least over a foot of original 1950 steel that you have got to go through before you even begin to touch my roll cage. Do I need a roll cage for the type of power that I am pushing? No. Being that I am young and irresponsible, I figured that a roll cage would be more necessary. Going down onto the underside of the truck, I went with brand new Coilovers, big 400 rated truck springs. As you notice, I do still have leaf springs on here, only because for this specific model, I shouldn't say this specific model, but for these styles throughout the years, trucks needed leaf spring systems, which the axle sits on. Originally, this axle sat on the underside of my leaf springs, but I did a axle flip, which then results in my axle sitting on top, pause there for a second, on top of my leaf springs, and then I had to notch, you can see here, horrible welding, but I had to notch my frame to allow more travel for the axle to go. So now onto the wheel and tire setup. I am running solid billet steel rims. I really wish I could have gone with aluminum, but I went with solid steel mostly because they are absolutely robust. On the fronts, I am running 20-inch rims with 245/45s on the front. And on the back, I've got 20-inch rims with 275/45 rubbers. A little bit beefier on the back end. It'll be about 1 inch to almost 2 inches wider than these front ones are. A lot of rubber to handle the kind of power we're putting down. So for the exhaust, we are running Hedman stainless steel headers, backed by 2.5-inch piping with MagnaFlow mufflers, which do absolutely nothing for this truck. It shatters your eardrums, and I have to turn it off to order drive-through, and I'll probably get a ticket out of red light. So the exhaust will not last long. I'll have to upgrade to a much quieter system. I still will probably stick with MagnaFlow, but once we do that, I am going to do open cut deletes right off the header, so it'll still romp and stomp and be all loud as I want it to be. But for now, we're going to deal with the loud stuff until we make sure that everything runs properly. Then we can worry about the little stuff. So as previously stated at the start of this video, I bought this truck when I was 13 back in 2013. I am currently 21, and it's still here. We're still working on it, and I have this thing still only because it was the first car I ever bought. Not many 13-year-olds can say that they bought a car, and you're not going to see another one like it. It was only produced and manufactured for 2 years, and as much as somebody else might want to get close to it, you're never going to match the aesthetics. You're never going to match the front grille, which always only lasted for 2 years. I wanted something that was just special, something that is just not seen everywhere else. Everybody's got a Mustang, everybody's got a Subaru WRX STI, everybody's got the newest Corvette, but nobody has a 52 Rod pickup truck. So everybody, that brings my end of things to a conclusion. I greatly appreciate being on the show today. I will now hand it back over to my main man, Nick.
So we are super stoked to have Mike join the crew at LVCC, and we're going to have a lot more content. Hopefully we got stuff to put out. It's just parts cost a lot of money, and also we have merch for sale. As you can see, they've been featured in a couple of our videos. We have a limited supply, so please DM us on Facebook or Instagram and we can get everything sorted out. But stay tuned for the content on this beautiful 1952 Ford F1 and everything else to come.